Okay, here we go. Okay, let's start.
Let's do it.
I've used a text editor to blend out the other areas. Uh, I've, I've separated the diagram into different topics because this makes it easier to see the issues. The diagram you see now is just for decision making. Namely, if the revision process is already done and we just want to know whether how relevant the gore no how desired the gore is in respect to the current moment. This is what this decision
Yeah.
entry does. So if it's a gore, it's projected to the current time, and if the confidence is above threshold, oh, sorry.
It's too late. I've seen
Right.
everything.
Right. So it executes if if it's a gore and if the desired value in respect to the current moment is above the threshold. So this part looks read correctly.
Can I just check where you got this decision box? Is that actually execution of the operation, or is that something else?
All right, this is execution. Maybe let's call
Okay, fine.
execute.
Right.
Right. Next thing, revision. Here it's the same thing because I didn't want to think twice. I combined both beliefs and cores into a single diagram. So how does revision happen? The thing is we rank all the table entries to the task time, and then I know that this thing we may revise in the future to have to only rank those which have no overlap at all, but let's assume the old design for now. If there's a evidential overlap, the revision should not happen. But if there is no evidential overlap for cores, there is something special. Namely, if for the core there is no further revision possible, no further already considered evidence, then it's when decision should happen. In our old diagram, we had the mistake that we just let one revision step happen, and we immediately took the revision result and put it into this decision. But this is not read. The thing is, wait, sorry. Right, because there can be multiple cores. It could be that multiple revision steps are necessary until all the already considered evidence is summarized, and no decision should happen before this point is reached. Does this make sense?
So that's
well, I understand what you're saying. I'm not sure I agree with you. The reason I say that is, this is a system that functions with the assumption of insufficient knowledge and resources. It can't exhaustively process every goal to see whether it has evidence overlapping with the current task. Otherwise, why do we only specify that particular requirement for a goal? Why not beliefs or questions or everything else in the system? You could, because you could argue exactly the same. You shouldn't use a belief without checking it's not revisable against every belief in the belief table.
Yes, this is a good argument. This is a good argument. But for decision, the situation is even worse. For example, let's say we have a belief. And what we want is under the assumption of insufficient knowledge and resource, we can't guarantee that the system will consider this and this before it will consider this. In this case, it will go forward and it will
Kill
make
itself. Yeah,
right.
understand.
While when this information is already considered, that it's self-dead after going forward, then we want the derivation of those two. Sorry. Let's mute them. Then we want the derivation the deduced result to revise with this result.
Yeah.
And we don't want the execution happen before this evidence is summarized. Makes sense? If this,
yeah, but they're not in the same concepts though.
Probably we should simplify the example.
Yeah, I had trouble with this example the other day for RASM as well.
Let's say we have just a simple case where there's evidence for going forward and negative evidence for going forward.
Yeah.
And if we enter this 10 times, then we want the system to be conclusive about it. Right?
Well, no, because it depends on what the occurrence time of these is.
In this case, they're eternal. Simplified.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Yep. Agree.
And if now this score is coming into the system, we don't want the system to execute it just judged by the desirability of this event. We want it to consider what it already evaluated in the past.
Okay.
And this is why the decision-making rule does not.
Well, yeah, I understand, but surely the highest ranked item in the table has already incorporated the previous revisions, so that accumulated evidence will actually be represented by the highest ranked item because it's actually been revised against the previous highest ranked item already. So every cycle you end up with. Go on then.
If the highest element in the to revise with would have a evidential overlap with this
yes.
the the difference. If it's how should I say? It really only happens if there is a evidential overlap.
Right.
Well, with revision, it's the opposite. We want revision to happen when there is no overlap, but we
Yeah.
don't want decision to happen before revision happened. Make sense? If it already considered
because
considers those things, then it should not
I'm
just
just
execute.
thinking about whether. Sorry, I'm over talking there. Carry on.
Right. So it should not execute ignoring what it had before. It should not ignore the desired values it summarized. And the summary is exactly revision. If there is no overlap, revision can happen. But if there is no revision possible because there is already an overlap, then we know, okay, now we need to decide whether to make the decision or not.
Okay. So the question then is why do we treat goals as a special case?
That they are not that special in this sense. The revision is really the same for goals and beliefs. The only thing is that goals have the additional property that if there is evidential overlap, then the decision rule will be checked. For beliefs, there is no execution.
Well,
So,
that decision rule, though, essentially, it happens after revision either way, doesn't it? It happens whether there was a revision or not. So it always happens.
Alright, but it can be that there are multiple steps until the decision happens. Multiple steps of summarizing the desired values which were collected before the decision is made. This was the mistake in the old diagram. That after one step of revision, it assumed that all evidence was collected and already went through the decision rule. Or if there's no way of knowing that after one revision step all the evidence was already collected. This depends on the evidential basis and on the table entries. This is why I didn't show you this left part yet, because I want you at first to see this. At first, I want you both, you all, how many of you, to see the problems in our old diagram. And the first one was that we assumed that all evidence is collected after the first revision step already, which we can't assume. Or collected evidence to be processed. Still here?
Can you hear me, guys?
Hey.
Now I hear you.
Woohoo! Sorry, I've been talking for 5 minutes before I realised I forgot to put my mic back on because it obviously muted itself and lost my connection.
Oh, no.
Sorry about that. So the last thing I heard was the revision process requires several steps before going to decision, or there could be several revisions before going to decision. And I wanted to just check.
It can happen.
Yeah, I wanted to check what you meant when you said several steps. Do you mean that we need to just process multiple desire values within the table before we move on, or do you mean that we need to process one value once and then go back through another inference cycle and do it again?
In the artisan of 170, took one inference cycle per revision step. In our new design, we have to see how we apply this principle in the concept, because now we won't let the derived revisions go through
Yeah, and
the general cycle.
this is the bit I
So
don't understand, you see, because given that way it used to work, at what point, how did it decide not to do any more revisions?
when evidential overlap happens
Oh, I
exactly at
see.
this.
So it keeps revising until it doesn't. Oh, okay. Right.
Right.
Okay, I see. Oh, what? Okay.
So it's really summarizing what it already got, and if it summarized this, then the decision rule can apply.
What if it keeps getting new evidence every cycle?
Oh, this is an issue.
Oh,
If
okay.
it, so
Yeah, right.
it,
I see. Fair enough.
Mhm.
All right.
Right.
Okay. All right. So that's kind of a bit of a hole. Right. I understand. All right. I think I understand the problem now, and I can see. Okay. So we can process that by sequentially processing the data within the table until we run out of revisable. In fact, actually, if we do what we said, we just rank the table by revisable beliefs. Then we just have to revise by all of them. Revise all of them.
Right.
Okay.
This would be the best. I mean, how should I say? Probably we found a way to not revise before, because we also found a way in the other implementations.
Okay,
So
I'm just sorry. I'm just trying to
before.
think what that actually means, because you're going to end up with a lot of new values. If every revisable element gets revised, you got twice as many. So you end up doubling the table size. So I guess, well, that's okay, because they're all old and outdated now. So, but you're going to end up throwing a lot of stuff away at the bottom end of the table, the lower confidence items. A lot of stuff. I mean, you're going to throw, could be half the table away every step.
And red, if we apply in the art design, it wasn't, because each revision was itself processed. Was itself taking one inference step. But I agree, it's an issue. But maybe it also shows a deeper truth behind this, because in the new design we have more options. We can, for example, make the revision, how should I say, let multiple revisions happen, let revisions happen slower, or the stuff which we could not control in the old system.
All right.
So it might be that revision is the most important inference rule, that it's really the most used inference rule by the system.
Yeah.
Could turn out that way.
All right. Okay. I understand the issue now, and I've kind of got a better feel for it now. All right. So that's good.
So do you agree on these two things?
I have a question about why we're projecting the table to task time as opposed to the current time.
This is a good question. This was the second. This and the other one are the two mistakes we had in the old diagram. The reason to project to task time is that you prefer revision to be used between tasks which are temporarily not too far away. For example, it doesn't make too much sense to revise an event task of occurrence time 1000 with a event task of occurrence time -1000. It's not that it doesn't make sense in general. It could make sense, but uh, but usually it makes more sense to revise with these entries which are temporally near. For example, if I tell you I will go to the cinema in 2 hours, and then I say I go to eat in 1 hour and 50 minutes, then you think and think, how should this be possible? I can't eat within 10 minutes and go to the cinema at the same time. You will prefer to summarize this experience together, then you would revise. For example, if I would say I was at work 3 hours ago, and I will go to eat in 2 hours. It doesn't make.
Okay, no, I can see why it makes sense to project the task time. To be honest, I was kind of more comfortable with that intuitively before, but I can see how we can mix them up now, so that's fine. So I prefer that, to be honest. I mean, for me, the relevant time that we're dealing with here is the task time, because the task is what we're actually trying to process. So it makes sense to rank the table by the task time to me. I can see why you could project both to the current time as well, but I think keeping it, we don't have to project the task because it's already the time we want to deal with. So in that particular case, I think it makes sense to project the table to the task that you want. Then you get the most relevant beliefs for the task match.
Yeah,
and then
second.
Later on you project the task to the current time before you make the decision. So that makes sense.
Right. And the thing is also, by out of projection is always valid in principle, it also has a little problem, because the original occurrence time gets lost. There can be situations, how should I say, how can one imagine this? Because each event is potentially, to some extent, true also in a arbitrary future, or was true in arbitrary past, according to projection. But it's still better for the system to keep the occurrence time the task has for further processing than to wipe it somehow.
I can see that. Yeah, no, I understand that. I agree, and that kind of intuitively makes sense to me. So I'm fine with that.
But I agree. This is time is indeed a big issue. I wish I would have stronger arguments here. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we know where we project to task them and where we should use this to allow multiple revisions. So now we can go to the big part. This part was mainly already correct in the old diagram. What I did mainly here was to combine belief and core, because as you saw, they share a long chain of things. There's a symmetry between core processing and belief processing, and this symmetry was not really exposed in the 170 design. In the 170, it was only for process core that the truth table was projected to the task time in order to update the priority of the core dependent on how satisfied it is. But to some extent, it would be better to have it two ways.
Sorry,
could-
could you just move your screen, just scroll it slightly, because the box where your mouse is, I can't read it. It's all blurry at the moment. If you could just move it, it'll redraw it.
No
Yeah,
better?
that's it. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Oh, so update goal and belief. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Before we only had this left side when it comes to updating the budget of the core. We only processed the core, looked how satisfied it is by at first ranking, and then dependent on the satisfaction, we adjusted the priority value. But this is
Right.
not. This is only half of the symmetry. If we look, a new entering belief which just got processed can also lead to have suddenly a core to be satisfied.
Yeah.
There could be an
Yeah.
existing core task which would in the org design, the belief could not increase the satisfaction of the already existing core. It would have to be re-derived and reprocessed in order for the system to realize the update in satisfaction.
Yeah. No, this makes sense. In fact, it's the same symmetry as we have between beliefs and questions in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is why I decided to combine this in one diagram to really have a design which learns from the mistakes of the 170 version, because I think this is really something which clearly was not done optimal. If only the left side is considered of this diagram, it's not really the entire story, you see?
Yeah, I agree. If it's exactly the same analogy as you have with questions. If you process a belief and there's already a question for it, you might as well try and find the answer it there and then. Same with the goal. If there's a goal already outstanding for it, satisfy the goal. Yeah, I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
And this we can
makes sense.
we can do better now. And in both cases, if to finish this part above, in both cases, if we process cores as well as when we process beliefs, if the corresponding table does not exist, we create the table, we link the task to the task links, and then we check for decision. But
yeah, because it's the only one there, therefore it doesn't need revising. Yeah.
Right. And of course this is only for cores, but I didn't want to have this if core check at 3 different places in the diagram, so I just called this one decision question mark.
Understand. Yeah, I understand.
So that I don't have this if condition to be a core multiple times in our diagram. Okay, so we already have the diagram up to the point where we adjust the budget based on the satisfaction. And now, after we did this, after we adjusted the priority of the task and belief, Now we can let me think one moment. This now is the part where we really project the current moment. And this is really a compromise because according to because we want some criteria in the tables to have tasks which are temporally relevant in respect to the current moment to be preferred over things which are not temporally relevant anymore. So
Yeah.
so it's when we insert and determine where we will, at what position in the table we will place our task, it's exactly here where we evaluate, where we project the current moment in order to not only take confidence but also temporal relevance into account.
Why is the position of the task relevant within the table at this point? Why can't it just go on the end? Are you going to use it based on its position at this point?
Because we have to decide which entry we have to kick out. Because
yes. Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. All right. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. So it could be the one that. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. All right. Sorry. Yeah, I'm with you. We can't add it without ranking it because we know. Yes.
But this is really a compromise because I remember some months ago when we discussed having multiple tables for different occurrence stems. This would be the alternative, and this one is not that easy to handle. If we really need to go this way, it will be a bit more difficult than this design. So this design really assumes that it's a good idea to keep temporally relevant beliefs over those which are, for example, long ago or far in the future. So this is the only compromise which is in here to not have to go the way of having multiple tables for different occurrence stems.
Yeah, I understand. I hate to raise the ugly head of priority again, but given the change in the design, could this not now be ranked by priority for adding and deleting?
Yeah, but priority is here not the issue because, as we said, all the entries have the same content anyway. So
yeah, I know, but it's about the highest priority items still could be the ones that are kept now. So if I understand it's about temporality as well, but the highest priority items will all have temporal aspects to them. My question is,
now I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yes, I
is
agree.
it better to just use priority but then it's the highest priority items in the system that we keep. They still because we're not going to use the ranking at this point till we get down to. Well, no, we're not going to use the ranking at this point. It's only to be able to add an entry into the table. So just delete the one with the lowest priority would be my view.
I see what you mean. I agree. Because of this temporal, because they have different occurrence stems, it wouldn't make sense to have ranking, to have free ranking, free ranking variables which are important. Occurrence stem, priority. It's called temporal relevance, priority. and confidence. I agree. Maybe we should extend ranking because of this, because
It seems
of
to me
that.
the least compromise would be to delete the lowest priority.
Mm-hmm.
They're all a compromise of some form, but I just think that's the least compromise.
Can
Because you
we
still
Uh-huh.
keep. Oh, go on, Jared.
can we do all three rankings and then take an average view of all three tables and then just drop the one who loses out of that?
Well,
Yes.
it's not really a lose though, is it? It's just going to give you a different order. There isn't really a winner or a loser.
Mm-hmm. All right.
You'll end up with three lowest ranked items, one based on confidence. Well, in fact, they'll be the lowest confidence or the lowest priority because they actually end up. So the temper one converts to confidence.
Mm-hmm. So far in 170 we only had these two, but now I totally see, because we have different entries of different occurrence stem, we can't really only judge by confidence in the occurrence stem. We should
Right.
also add this one. Mm-hmm. I agree. We can extend ranking to have, and we can also add free system parameters to weight them in ranking.
Okay. Cool.
Mm-hmm. This is it.
All right. So
Yeah.
the last bit we just didn't finish it off here. Let me just make sure I understand. So link task from task links. What does that mean? Make sure I understand that.
Oh, I think I called it differently than I know here also.
No, you did.
Just
You mean
it
just
just means
put it in there?
just put it in task links.
Oh, okay. So right. So add it to task links. Right.
Right.
Oh, I see. Link task. Yeah. Okay. Add task to task links. Understand. Right. Link might be a better word because we need to keep a connection because of updating budget. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then revision is however we decide to do that revision process.
Oh, this is this one.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So if we already have entered it into the belief table, now we can check for revision buttons and read. So what this shows is that also, like in the old design, not only the revised result is kept, but also the premises of the revision are kept
Yeah.
in the table.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the bit I need to think through that bit because I'm not sure about all those details about exactly how revision what it does with all the new values or even how many new values we should create. But I understand what's required now. Okay.
Yes, this is really a lot of. I know it's a bit of a change, and
It's good. I think it's great because it actually saves a lot of processing effort. Because beliefs can now satisfy goals directly without having to go round in the inference cycle again. Yeah,
this
I
is
think that's
true.
really valuable. That's a really good very good catch. And as I say, the symmetry is an interesting point. I might actually try and do the same thing with
Questions and beliefs.
questions. Although in fact, if we do that, because beliefs coming in here, they have to actually this could have to have a question. Part of this whole thing has to be rather than a 2 type, it has to be a 3 type because questions would have to be part of this as well. That might make it a bit awkward, but I'll look. I can play with that. That's for sure. Yeah, that's a nice. I do like that.
Oh, yes.
Okay. I don't think there's any other questions in my head about that. You need to go very soon, don't you?
But I will try to find better or stronger arguments for example, this part for
Yeah.
protecting the task time. And the other thing, the revision cycle before making the decision, this one I'm very, very confident that it's the right thing to do. And so I will prepare examples which show why this is important.
Oh, I absolutely believe you. I don't have any doubt that you'll get a much better result by summarizing the available desire values. I'm completely convinced of that. But I'm also convinced you'll get much better judgments by revising all the beliefs in a belief table as well.
This is true. Maybe we should also consider
yeah.
this.
So it's kind of, where do you draw the line? And I don't know. I think maybe we should consider that as well. But it does kind of fly in the face of assumption of insufficient knowledge and resources. But maybe that's a cost that we should bear.
And especially this is really relevant because because now in the new design we have a different cycle for general inference and for inference within a concept, and this really gives us a lot of ground to play. If this really we can really try, for example, to let beliefs also not be used in general inference before the considered revision partners were processed, for example. And
okay. Yeah. No, I agree. I'm thinking about. Oh, actually, I won't do it now because I know you have to go. But I'll give this some more thought, and we can have another session when we've sort of had a bit of time to let it bed in.
I think we should talk more about this part anyway, because this one is really nearly the core of the system. It's to some extent general inference is important, but if it really comes to summarizing evidence, then the concepts are really the motor behind this process.
Well, arguably, this is where it decides to do the right thing. And if this bit's wrong, it never does the right thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So we really have to take care about this part. This is really important.
Okay, that's great. That's really good work, Patrick.
Thank you.
Right, I better let you go. Doing anything exciting?
I will go to it.
Are you going to eat? Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty exciting.
Hopefully not 10 minutes before a movie.
Have fun. Have a nice evening.
Thanks, man.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.